Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Thank you for attending my class. So I have some handouts and some procedural handouts for this class, and I am going to put them into the chat box now. They should be there for you. So if you want to download them at any point in time before, during, after, you have the information from this class. So let me clarify what we're doing here today. This is a class on Skyslope, basically what I call the Skyslope legacy training. And what does that mean? Initially, Skyslope started out with their basic platform. I know that you guys have been seeing it advertised as Skyslope broker forums. That will be next month. This month is just getting you guys up to snuff with the basic concepts of Skyslope for agents that are interested in doing their own files as opposed to having TCs, or who are interested in understanding how the back office process works with their TCs. Now, having said that, we have a roster of in-house TCs. I would encourage you to find out who they are, to utilize them. The office, the brokerage provides them to you. But we also have a robust roster of independent TCs who have been trained and vetted by me. If in fact you have a TC that you would prefer to use for your own business model, I encourage you to send them my way. In order for them to do your work, your document management, they will need to be trained, to go through an orientation and training in this environment. Okay? Here's the reason. Now that we've had this merge, the Skyslope Alliance and the Skyslope Masters will look mirrored to each other. So what you used to work in Alliance agents, those checklists and the Skyslope have been and in the process of being cleaned up. So I would encourage you to, if you want to do your own file in Skyslope, this is going to be a fairly deep dive of what it takes and what it looks like and how you need to be putting data into that Skyslope, whether it's Alliance or Masters. If in fact once you've gone through this hour, it is probably going to be over an hour. Once you've gone through this hour of deep dive of what this process looks like, if you decide, hey, I think I need a TC, an in-house TC, or an independent TC, then we need to move forward so that we can set you up with a TC in-house or individual or independent, or if you want your TC to be trained in this process, we open up the door to you for whatever works for your business model. Okay? So with that being said, I am going to now share my screen. Again, the handouts are in the chat. I would suggest that you pull them down, take notes, and if you have any questions regarding the processes, I will stop periodically, but not too much, because we have a lot of information to cover. And towards the end of this, there will also be links to Skyslope as well as a Q&A. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to turn my camera off. So I'm assuming you all can see my screen. Okay, now I'm going to ask you all to give me grace. Generally I have a dark background because I'm on my screen often, very often, like 12, maybe 12 to 14 hours a day. So it's much easier on my eyes. So having said that, you will see me manipulating this bar here and there in order for you to get a better visual of the screen, the PowerPoint presentation. So let's see. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and we're going to start the process. Okay. Give me grace. I'm trying to get my screen set up so that you all can see it. And again, this will be session will be. I'm not doing a good job of managing this process here. There we go. Nice. Okay. So as I had indicated earlier, this is going to be basic training in terms of the Skyslope process. This is the legacy, which means this is just your basic Skyslope, what it looks like, the file review process. I will touch towards the end on some of the broker's edition, what that will look like with the next training session. And then we can touch on some other items that you might be interested in as I go through the Skyslope training. So let's get started. Okay, so the objectives of this training is to introduce you to the Skyslope systems, review the procedures on compliance for file reviews, review our Century 21 Masters business affiliates and partnerships. That's going to be important in this process. And the training, the standardized training of what it will look like and what you should be doing in terms of going in and creating files and the data that you will be putting into Skyslope. And then we'll finish it with a Q&A. So let's talk about our systems. At this point in time, the Alliance agents are probably using transactional sell sheets and sheets for dash documentation. Well, those sheets, that paper will no longer be used in our systems. Here's the reason why. We have a technology platform. We have our repository, which is the Skyslope, and those systems talk to each other. They also talk to the MLS boards, the MLS systems, and moving forward, they will also be talking to CAR forms, the California Association of Realtors, what is best known as CAR forms or zip forms. What happens is that our technology for our financial application, which is called Caltech Dash, talks to the MLS and Skyslope. That information is pulled into our financials. Skyslope also talks to the MLS and it talks to Caltech and Dash. In addition to that, the MLS systems and boards. So in order for this technology to communicate with each other, the data that is put into Skyslope will be critical because that information then will be pulled in, aggregated in to Caltech in order for the data that we need to communicate with all the systems in order for it to talk. So as a result of that, how the information moving forward being put into Skyslope will be very, very critical. And we'll get through that in a little bit. So at this point in time, what I briefly want to talk to you about is our business affiliates and our partnerships. So we all know that as the merges happen, we'll all be looking at the brokerage as Century 21 Masters. And Chris has sent out some critical information regarding time elements and things that must be done by the agents. I would tell you to look at your email, read that information, go over it, and execute what needs to be done. Our big parent name will be or is Full Realty Services, and underneath Full Realty Services is the DBA doing business as Century 21 Masters. We have affiliated businesses, which is 21 Century Escrow, 21st Century Lenders, and 21st Century Property Management. Our brokerage that we're functioning under, our brokerage name is Century 21 Masters. And underneath that, we have business partnerships, specifically now with the Property ID Max, the NHD Report Company. And I know you all have your own business models where you're using various types of NHD reports, and but I would like to encourage you to give Property ID just give it a try. I have used a number of NHD reports in the past, and they've been fantastic. I think the thing that stands out with the NHD reports is the E&O insurance that they provide and the legal support. And of course, we will also have a number of other escrow companies that will be a part of our business affiliated arrangement. But the current one that I have that I've stated here, it will be Diamond Valley Escrow Corporation, known DBA as 21st Century Escrow. So having said that, I'd like to really kind of get into a review of the compliance and file review. Now, this presentation, I'd like to reiterate, is for agents who are interested in doing their own files, and that's why we're doing such a deep dive today, or agents who once you get through this information and you decide, you know what, I think I'd rather have a TC doing this kind of lift. Again, we have in-house TCs, and we'll have independent TCs, a roster that have been vetted, that have gone through orientation and training. So real quick, I'm jumping out of here, and let's take a look at the procedures as to what is required in order for you to do your files in our system moving forward once we get Alliance up and running after March 1. Agents are going to be responsible for submitting their own files into Skyslope. The files, all of them, listings and transactional files, should be loaded up into Skyslope within a 48-hour time period or 2 days that they've received signed agreements and ancillary documents. Once you have gone through the transactional process of managing your documentation in your file in Skyslope, you are going to be asked to make sure that all documentation that's relevant to your transaction is uploaded 3 to 5 days before the close of escrow. Now, I'm fully aware of the fact that, you know, transactions do have their own nuances, okay? I get that. However, in saying that, you will have to stick with your file, manage your documentation, so that when it is time for it to go through the entire process of being reviewed, close of escrow, escrow documents are up, we can get your checks to you in a timely process, and we're not waiting for you to bring documentation into that file once the escrow has closed. We would like to have all documents as much as possible reviewed before the close of escrow. Somebody has their mic on. Somebody has their mic open.
Which is great,
Hello?
but I don't see it unless
Neil
Neil?
Schwartz.
her
Neil,
name in.
can you turn your mic down? Neil? Okay,
Very frustrating because she does a lot of my technical work.
okay.
Thanks. I'm at my desk
Neil,
right now and be here most of the rest of the day. 951.
can somebody get can somebody put a chat for him to turn off his mic? Okay, so moving forward. Reviews should be done, the reviews are done daily by our compliance specialist. However, you're going to have to keep in mind that our compliance specialists are probably going to have assigned. Yeah, can you turn your mic off? Thank you. That our compliance specialists are going to have multiple offices that they're reviewing files. So again, you're gonna have to give them grace. The standard that we're setting up is getting these files reviewed in a timely fashion. So once they're closed, we get the final statement up, the settlement statements up. The file can be closed, archived, and sent off so that once your checks come, Valerie will be able to get it done and processed, and you're not waiting for your money. Moving forward, communicating with the agents will be done through Skyslope, through the comments section. In Skyslope, our compliance officers will be tagging you in the internal part of Skyslope email, telling you what they need, giving you specifics. In addition to that, there are comments next to the placeholders in the checklist where very detailed information will be entered for you, and you can communicate back with your compliance specialist, who's your auditor, so that you're constantly in communication in regarding the status of your file, what your file is looking like, the information that's missing in your file, information that is needed in order to close that file in a timely fashion so that you could get paid as quickly as possible. The final review should have all the documents, 100% of everything. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? It looks like this. If in fact there are any corrections, they will be done. They will be addressed. Required documentation should be done. It should be addressed. Closing statements and documentation will be uploaded, and the file will be completed in its entirety, archived in a timely manner. And we prefer that all of this is done within the time period when that transaction has closed in escrow, that there should only be maybe a day or two, pending on your escrow officer, when they send us the final document, that should happen as quickly as possible. Because this is about making sure that you get paid and paid in a timely fashion. So let's keep moving. I know you guys may have questions. I'm gonna ask you to just kind of put them on hold until I get through most of this information, because I have a lot here. So with you doing your own documentation, this is what it should look like. When you have files and the placeholder indicates with a status button that says it's required, we expect whatever that requirement to be for that documentation that it's in there. Well, we know that you're not going to get all of the signatures, and sometimes, the other side, there's issues, and you may be dealing with another TC, that the document you may not obtain all of the document. It is what it is. You can't make people do what they're not going to do or make them sign what they're not going to sign. But what we can do is this. We can make sure that all of the documentation indicating that we've asked for missing signatures, documents that have not been obtained, or incorrect information, that we can document our files with at least 2 emails. The first email is asking them. If they respond back, that's fine. Put
I do know.
the 2 emails in. If they haven't responded, ask very nicely in a very polite way, second request, 2 emails. You get the documents or you don't. You put the document in the placeholder, and then you put the 2 emails in there that you've requested documentation. So here's the deal. He who documents best wins anything that deals with a litigious situation. Okay? So we need proof that, we did our part as a brokerage. We did what we needed to do to obtain information for the files, for the documentation. Any questions so far? I saw a hand go up. No? Okay. So let's keep it moving.
And I did have a quick question. I just didn't know if we were supposed to be following along with you on Skyslope, or if the screen that we're looking at is indeed what we're supposed to be saying. We just see procedures and compliance requirements for file reviews, pages 1 and 2.
There are 3, and I've put handouts in the chat for you.
Okay.
And what you're looking at on the screen? Yeah, that's what I'm reviewing.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm a very visual person, and I find that cognitively people process better when they see, hear, and touch. So that's why I'm putting it out there on the screen, but you also have copies of this in your handouts, okay? Because you're going to need to refer to this information if in fact you choose to do your own file. So I don't expect you to retain this information through osmosis. So yeah, that's why what you're looking at on the screen is what I've sent you, what you have in the chat. So agents, I'm going to ask you to do something, and don't get me wrong. I realize that, I started my real estate career out in 1999 in Princeton, New Jersey. I was a listing agent, and I get the plethora of documentation that you are inundated with in this business. I also understand that the documentation can be very fluid. And what I mean by that is that car forms can change and be updated on. And the last year we have seen that a tremendous amount of constant changing, updating. But for sure, we know that updates and changes are done to documentation, to our agreements and our ancillary documents in June and towards the end of the year. So having said that, I'm going to ask you agents to make sure that you're reading your contracts well, and that you're putting the information in this documentation of your contracts in a way that will help us review your files more efficiently and quickly. And having said that, when you have your agreements, in your negotiation of your agreements, whether it's an RPA or BRBC or a RLA, if there are text overflows, if in fact there is not completed information on the last page, which is the information for the brokerage, and also the instructions for the escrow companies, that you make sure that all that information is located in that placeholder. And the way that the checklists have been set up, I try and communicate as much as possible with you in the checklist. So the names of the placeholders will basically tell you what information belongs in that placeholder. page 17 and 18 of your agreements, where that last page is for the broker information. I'm going to ask you to make sure that you have email delivery addresses, that text numbers are indicated. And this is very important, that the brokerage address is also in the appropriate fields. So when you're creating these RPAs or these BRBCs, that information is there so that it helps us as well to discern what is going on with that file. Ancillary documents that are your TDSs, your SPQs, your RRs, your RRRs, your solar questionnaires. If in fact you have text overflows or addendums, please put them in the placeholders so that we can get the full content of what is happening with that transaction, with that ancillary document. If you have a counter and the counter has a text flow, please make sure that that is all in that placeholder so that, again, we can get through the process of reviewing your file in a timely fashion. It cuts down the communication that we have to have with the agents, and that we can get you paid quickly. If you are not familiar with Skyslope and using the various elements and navigational parts of Skyslope, in your handouts, I have hyperlinks so that you can go in and look at the quick videos. And I would suggest that if you are not familiar with the split and assign, there is a link specifically for that in Skyslope, that you go into it, that you review these videos so that you can familiarize yourself with navigating through the platform. In your RPAs, in your agreements, if in fact your agreement has waived, for instance, home warranty, make sure again that you're reading your documents, that these documents, your agreements are coming from, if you're a listing agent, that you're reading your agreements from the cooperating buyer broker, and that if in fact they're waiving, make sure that you're reading your contracts well so that there are not a plethora of mistakes that's in it, so that the auditors don't have to keep tagging you about putting ancillary documents in, addendums or whatever, to clean up your contracts. If items need to have waivers, we expect you to use the BIW. If your contracts don't speak to, for instance, termite, it's been left out, then we're going to require that you do a BIW to protect the brokerage, to protect you, to protect your client. We are functioning from a lens of best practices. In Skyslope, there is a section, and I will go through that with you, a landing page, on your landing page that's called Working Documents. All of the documents that are relating to local disclosures, waivers, anything that is additional information that you may need regarding commission instructions, it will live in Working Documents. And I'll go through that really quickly. If you have any concerns about what is happening with the placeholder, there is a little icon that's an eye. If you hover over it, I try and put as much information in there as possible. I try and give you as much additional information as possible. However, if you still need help and need more information, please feel free to reach out to your auditor, because the auditor that audits your file will let you know who they are, by the, when they send out, electronic, email to you from Skyslope, letting you know that they're the auditor that audit your files so that you can communicate with them at any point in time, email or phone or ringing them. Any questions so far? I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible, but if you have questions, please ask me.
This is Sean from Upland. On the, we had the affiliates, disclosures. I'm assuming you have the same thing. Would that be pulled from the, your, the working docs? Yeah, is that all in there?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
After March, I tell you, I have a big lift because
Yeah.
there's a lot that's going on. So I'm going to ask you to give us a little bit of grace. By the first week of March, I should have everything in there that you need that is up to date. Now,
Terrific.
I will also ask you agents to help me out a little bit. And especially the agents that are up north, where you know that your municipalities are requiring specific documentation, maybe a permit or maybe some type of application that is unique to that transaction. Please send it to me via email, because for the next 4 or 5 days, I will be going into working documents, cleaning out, updating, and putting in new stuff that is related to specific locations. The disadvantage that I have is that I don't know all of the required documents for local disclosures. So if you have them, please share them with me. Share them with me. But yes, everything that is related to your location will live in that document, working documents. And again, we'll go through that and you'll see what that looks like if you are not already familiar with it.
This is Lupe from Ventura office. Just had a quick question regarding, do we have a new password and login for Skyslope?
Nope. You will not have a new, we're trying to be as, we don't want to be totally disruptive to your business. But I will put you all on notice now. The checklist that you're used to dealing with are no longer going to be in there. You're going to be looking at standardized checklists. And once I'm done with this documentation, we will go through what all that looks like for you, okay?
Is there specific training for Skyslope? Since we had a TC before who did it all before, and now if we do it on our own or until we get a new TC.
You get a new TC. What is your business model? If you want a TC, if you want to pick from independent TCs that have been trained thoroughly and know how to navigate through this, pick up. I am creating a roster to share with you where you can interview the TCs that are working for you. We have in-house TCs. I have 7 in-house TCs that have been trained. So, you know, if you want to do the files yourself, sure. You know, if you think you need a little bit more one-on-one, you're going to do that with me. Okay. You'll schedule some time with me. I'll send you the links and then I will spend time. It takes me about an hour and a half that I review this information a little bit more intimately with you in terms of what it looks like.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
That I'm available for that. That's what we do here at Masters. I've had over the years, I have agents that, you know, Jan, I've tried the TC. I don't do enough business, whatever they feel the reason is, and I want to do my files myself. Okay, fine. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to hold you to the same standard I hold the TCs to. Okay, fair enough?
Fair enough. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, please send me the link.
Okay. Let's see. Using updated documents. So here's the thing. Legal Car says documents are good up for 12 months. However, we know that with land listings, right? Land listings generally sell 18 months 24 months, 36 months. And when you do a land listing questionnaire, there's nothing much that's going to change in it, with the exception if that seller decides they're going to put utilities in, or they've taken out a septic or put a septic in, or propane or something of that nature, or the meets and bounds have been changed by the municipality. So having said that, of course, you know you're going to need to update those forms, the TDSs, the SPQs, that information, if there are changes. But generally, updated documents that, or ancillary documents, need to be updated, okay? If you currently have a listing, I don't expect you to go into a TDS and an SPQ and change it out. If you used it from the last revision and you've only had the property on the market, 6 months or whatever, okay? But within reason, you have to use some, I mean, within reason. If you know you're looking at a document that is well over a year old, please update it. And it will be pushed back if it's, not updated where it's reasonable and makes sense. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's talk about FRIPTAs and QSs. So I know that there are a lot of agents that use the FRIPTAs, the seller affidavit of non-foreign status. And I know that you guys pull these documents down in CAR form, the ASs. So here's the thing. If the social security number on it is not on it, then, it's a useless document. And for listing agents, I get it. That is not one of the highest things on your things to do in terms of documentation, okay? But having said that, there are some other things that can be done to protect the buyers in regards to the IRS making inquiries about capital gains and things being paid by the seller. So in that case, I'm asking you to please, if it is available, use your escrows FRIPTA. Now, I know that some escrows that are affiliated with brokerages don't always provide a FRIPTA. In that case, title companies definitely will give you that information. Better yet, if you can use the QS, that's a wonderful thing. But again, if you have some escrow companies that are working underneath their brokerage, they may not be able to provide that information to you. But what I'm asking you to do, if in fact the seller's social security number is not on the AS, and anybody with any good business practices is not going to put their seller's social security number on the AS, okay? Use the escrow, FRIPTA, or the QS. And the QSs have to be completed by escrow before your buyers can sign them. So do not upload a QS that's signed by a buyer that has not been signed and completed by an escrow company. The types of attachments that belong in these files, PDF files. That's all I'm taking is PDF. The Word, the doc file, extensions, and anything else, grifts and all of that, not acceptable. The amount of work that we have to do reviews is astronomical now that we have such a wide geography to review the various branches. So we're not going to go in and try and open up a doc file and put it on your desktop and convert it or whatever, all of that. Nope, not going to happen. So if you don't have a PDF file, it's going to be rejected. It is going to be rejected. Upload documents using PDF. The only exception would be JPEGs, and that would be JPEGs for pre-approvals, for your bank pre-approvals. Because I know what happens a lot of times with the buyer's agent, you're moving fast, You do the little screenshot on your camera on your phone, and then you upload it. That's fine. I'll take that, but everything needs to be a PDF. In the new checklist, you will see that required documents will be NHD reports, property detail reports, and they need to be uploaded. The NHD report, reason being is because we need to know where these properties are on the fire zones in the different government, state, municipalities, county maps. And if in fact they are in a high fire zone, then you know that you're going to need the FHDS. And that needs to be addressed in terms of whether your seller is going to pass that off to a buyer or whether or not they're going to address it. Because that is very important that we have that information documented and that it is definitely resolved before the close of escrow. Yes, I see a hand.
Hi, Jan. In regards to the FHDS, I know with Prop ID on the signature pages, they include that form. Is that acceptable? Or do you want the CAR FHDS?
You're talking about I don't understand your question. What I know about it is the AB 38, which is the certification. If
Right.
in fact, okay, is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, so when you order especially the environmental NHD report, they send you the signature pages, and included in that.
Oh, you're asking about the receipts, the signature pages. Yes, please.
But that has the FHDS in there. Or is that okay? Or do you want the CAR form itself?
I want the signature page, the signature receipt should be signed. That's fine. The FHDS is in there. That's fine.
Okay.
If you want to use that, or you can pull it out of car forms. You can get it from both places. As long as you have the first 2 pages, I'm fine with that. The others, that's not really relevant. And if in fact there is the AB 38, upload the AB 38 with the FHDS in that placeholder. Okay.
Sounds good.
Question?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay, perfect. Property detail report. Here's the skinny with that. We start off with the listings. We need to make sure that who's signing that agreement is in fact the authorized and legal signee. Now, we get it. We get that the property detail report is not always updated. So the other option would be getting the preliminary title report from whoever you do title business with. Okay, that's acceptable. If you want to pull down realist, that's fine. We'll take that too. Okay. However, in the process of reviewing that file, if that preliminary title report comes back with something different, then we're going to tag you on that. Okay. So those are required documents in the listing. Let's see, anything else? I think that's, so the compliance, moving forward, the compliance specialist will be the person that it will be reviewing files. However, if you do have questions and you're not able to reach out to your compliance specialist, take advantage of your regional directors and your advisors. They are a great source. I'm sure at some point you're used to communicating with them as office managers and being there to support you. At some point, I'm sure some of them probably were auditors. Please continue to take advantage of them. So real quick, the only thing that I really want to hit on this list, and you have my contact information, and I guess you all are wondering why is her email TC? Because I'm part of the TC Nation. That's why. I had a business, a TC business for 10 years. It was that business that helped me obtain my master's degree in instructional design and technology. So I am a part of that nation. One final thing, in your Skyslope checklist, if a placeholder says it's required, please put whatever's required in there. I'm sure that you probably may think that it is not required, but trust me, we have labored over these checklists. We have gone back and forth through them, and we continue to go back and forth through them. If we're asking for them to be required, it is for a reason. So please don't put not applicable or NA. If in fact it is a required document, then put it in there. We know that there are some exceptions. For instance, with the FRIPTA in a manufactured home does not require a FRIPTA. Okay, we get that. And that there may be some exceptions with the disclosure for taxes, for assessment taxes with manufactured properties. We get that. And if you want to say in those placeholders, manufactured property not required because it's a manufactured home or that's fine. I just don't like not applicable because we create the checklist with a lot of thought. And if you have any suggestions or concerns, please reach out to me. I'm always available, and I like hearing feedback, good, bad, and indifferent. Any questions so far?
And I'm sorry, back to the auditor that you mentioned earlier. When my TC puts everything in, she'll get a notification from that person giving, like they'll chime in, or where would the auditor come from?
Okay, so when the audit is done, the auditor will send an electronic email update, letting you know that the file has gone through whatever the review is. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So, and again, give us grace because we are a work in progress. So generally, the way that I audit files is that I always like to kind of let the TC or the agent know, hey, I've reviewed this file, okay? And I'll send it out from Skyslope. And the purpose of sending it out from Skyslope is because Skyslope gives you this lovely printout of the actual checklist. And it gives you the status of what that checklist looks like. Anything that is completed, anything that is incomplete, anything that is pending, okay? So that is where I'm pushing the auditors to actually be interactive with the agents and the TCs. This tool will also help expedite the process of making sure that those files are reviewed in a timely fashion, because it is critical for us to have those files reviewed before the close of escrow. Now, are there some exceptions? Yeah, sure, I get that. But at the end of the day, we don't want to be going out getting signatures after the close of escrow. When it closes, it's dead, it's done. And not only that, it's ludicrous to go to a buyer or seller and say, hey, can you sign this, I don't know, Avid or TDS or whatever, okay? Can you sign it? Well, you've closed escrow. It makes no sense, makes no sense. So that's why we're going to be so conscientious and try and work as